All right, let's just jump straight into this because today we are unpacking a seriously fascinating synthesis of ideas. I mean, what actually happens when you take 1400-year-old prophecies, mix them with esoteric texts from a 12th century mystic, and map the whole thing directly onto modern geopolitics, climate anomalies, and cutting edge tech? Well, according to the source material we're looking at today, all of these seemingly random, disconnected threads are actually converging on one very specific point in the near future, the year 2026. This explainer is going to take us on a wild ride, breaking down exactly how the source connects ancient eschatology right to the modern world we're living in. So here is our roadmap for the breakdown. 1. Ancient prophecies unfolding today. 2. The jinn and alien connection. 3. Ecology and the Euphrates. 4. Decoding the Economist 2026. 5. AI and the Dajjal system. And finally, 6. A plan for spiritual defense. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Ancient Prophecies Unfolding Today. The absolute foundational argument of our source material here is that historical Islamic prophecies, well, they aren't just metaphors. The claim is they are visibly manifesting right now. And the source gets highly specific. They point to a direct quote from an ancient hadith, which is a saying attributed to the Prophet Muhammad. It explicitly speaks of barefoot and uneducated people gaining sudden, immense wealth and then actually competing with each other to build extremely tall buildings. The source draws a straight line from this 1400-year-old text right to the modern era, pointing to the explosive rise of mega skyscrapers in places like Dubai. I mean, think about it. Giant fortunes built in a remarkably short time, completely transforming the skyline. The source argues it perfectly mirrors this ancient prediction. Which naturally brings us to a central concept in this material, the Dajjal, often translated as the false messiah or the great deceiver. The Dajjal is described in Islamic tradition as a figure or even a system, wielding what look like literal godlike powers. We're talking making it rain, greening barren land, or even appearing to bring the dead back to life. But, and this is the crucial point highlighted by the source, drawing heavily on the 12th century scholar Ibn Arabi, these aren't actual miracles. They're illusions, unbelievably powerful illusions. The source argues these deceptions will be pulled off using unseen forces and highly advanced manipulative systems designed specifically to test humanity. All right, Section 2, the jinn and alien connection. Here, the source shifts our focus entirely from the physical world into the metaphysical realm. Really leaning into the writings of Ibn Arabi, the explainer outlines 3 distinct levels of human interaction with the jinn, which are unseen beings in Islamic theology. So step 1 is accidental contact. Step 2 is intentional but limited communication. But look at step 3, mutual agreement and a service relationship. The source stresses this is where things get incredibly dangerous. It crosses over into an organized system of intelligence gathering and control. Just imagine a future where unseen entities act as a literal shadow intelligence network, eavesdropping on secure corporate meetings and whispering directly into the minds of global decision-makers. And this leads to one of the absolute most provocative claims in the whole explainer, juxtaposing ancient descriptions of the jinn with modern sightings of UAPs or UFOs. Look at the comparison here. On one hand, you have jinn, ancient, unseen forces that can shapeshift and pass through solid matter. On the other hand, you have modern UAPs and gray-skinned aliens, basically always associated with highly advanced, unexplainable tech. The source argues this is absolutely not a coincidence. Their proposition? Modern UFO sightings and alien encounters are actually jinn, just using the modern mythos of extraterrestrials as a deceptive disguise. It's a totally wild, fascinating reframing of the alien phenomenon, just viewed through an ancient theological lens. Moving on to Section 3, Ecology and the Euphrates. Now, the source doesn't just stay in the metaphysical realm. It grounds all these esoteric claims in tangible, physical, environmental crises happening on Earth today. They point to a very specific prophecy, the idea that the end times won't arrive until the lands of Arabia physically return to being meadows and rivers. The analysis connects this ancient text directly to modern climate anomalies, specifically calling out the recent, unusually heavy rains in Mecca that literally caused greenery to sprout right out of the desert. Plus, they note that geological records actually confirm the Arabian Peninsula was in fact lush and green in the distant past. It's a really striking way the source ties cyclical environmental changes to these prophetic timelines. But honestly, perhaps the most alarming ecological connection the source makes is about the Euphrates River. There's another hadith predicting the river will dry up and reveal a mountain of gold. The source frames this as way more than just climate change. They see it as a looming, catastrophic resource conflict. Today, as you probably know, the Euphrates is facing a very real, very severe water crisis. The prophecy claims that when this mountain of gold appears, and hey, that could be literal gold, or maybe a metaphor for a newly revealed resource like oil or water itself, people are going to fight fiercely over it. The text warns that 99 out of 100 people will die in this conflict, and it explicitly instructs believers to just walk away and not take any of it. Okay, Section 4, Decoding the Economist 2026. So this right here is the real catalyst for the source's timeline, taking that ancient lens and applying it to modern, secular corporate imagery. The source goes heavy into analyzing the cover of The Economist's The World in 2026 issue, basically treating it like a coded map of global elite agendas. First up, you've got this birthday cake with the number 250. Ostensibly, sure, it's celebrating America's 250th anniversary in 2026, but the source looks at the surrounding symbols of war and chaos and interprets this as a farewell cake, a marker of the peak and subsequent decline of Pax Americana and the current world order. Next, scattered pills and syringes, not a symbol of healing, but interpreted here as a fragmented, heavily controlled biotech health system where the human body itself becomes the battleground. Finally, the most chilling symbol for the source, a human brain hooked up to a video game controller. The source sees this as an overt, undeniable nod to neuromarketing, advanced AI, and literal mind control, the idea that humanity is being manipulated like a character in a game. Let's layer this and see how it builds on the older texts. The source takes those modern magazine symbols and juxtaposes them with predictions made specifically for the year 2026 by Ibn Arabi, 800 years ago. Yep, for this specific year, Ibn Arabi predicted strong winds spreading events rapidly, sudden diseases wiping out livestock and transport animals, a massive spike in looting driven by economic chaos, and celestial events like eclipses perfectly coinciding with regional bloodshed. The source is essentially layering the secular corporate predictions of The Economist right over the mystical predictions of Ibn Arabi, finding these super alarming parallels of disease, weather anomalies, and societal collapse all converging squarely on 2026. Which brings us to Section 5, AI and the Dajjal system. This is where the explainer gets fully into the technological realm. It explores how ancient observers might have actually attempted to describe the digital panopticon we live in right now. The source brings up a hadith stating that the hour will not come until objects like a man's whip or his shoe strap speak to him and literally tell him what his family did while he was away. For centuries, right, this just sounded like pure magic. But pause and ask yourself, what is this small rectangular object you always carry on you that tracks your location and tells you exactly what your family has been doing online or where they physically are? The smartphone. The source argues that these ancient prophecies of talking objects are just a perfect, literal description of our reality. The smartphone, AI chips, digital logs, moving on that, the source can tell what it calls the Dajjal system. So in this view, it isn't just one guy. It's an entire global infrastructure running on big data, facial recognition, and hyper-personalized AI algorithms. The argument here is that this system will perfectly predict and manipulate human behavior using neuromarketing and invisible psychological nudges. It'll literally feed different realities to different people based entirely on their digital profiles. And the ultimate deception, according to the source, is that this system will make you fiercely believe you're acting on your own free will. When in reality, every single choice you make is perfectly calculated and controlled by algorithms in the background. Alright, sign us up for Section 6, a plan for spiritual defense. Actively outlines a but to grasp their the source defines fitna as a time of profound trial. It's an era where truth and falsehood are so heavily mixed together that it becomes almost impossible to tell them apart. It's essentially an environment of these massive incoming wave of deception. The source emphasizes that just because like stocking up on supplies isn't
आशिक हूँ तेरा राजा बाजार का लगता है मुझको नशा ये प्यार का
breaking those engineered dopamine loops from algorithms and being incredibly strict about
नखरा इसका टॉप पर आती है टिकटॉक पर नैनो से है नैन मिलाती लड़कों के है दिल जुराती पिंडी में है चर्चा इसका नीरा जितना खर्चा इसका मैंने बोला इसको मेट्रो में बिठाऊंगा कैपिटल ले जाऊंगा F7 भी घुमाऊंगा मोनाल भी दिखाऊंगा सेंटोरस भी ले जाऊंगा आशिक हूँ तेरा राजा बाजार का लगता है मुझको नशा ये प्यार का
Is this actually true? What is the real source of this? And what is the underlying purpose of these substances? Which brings us to our final thought for this experiment. The source material uses elements right on a nice head, leading cycles of human behavior and futuristic technology. It really begs the question, as we prepare for 2026, are we merely repeating the historical cycles of rise and fall, chaos and order, just like ancient mystics predicted? Or, with the total integration of AI, global surveillance, are we crossing the threshold into a
आशिक हूँ तेरा राजा बाजार का
It's a massive, massive question, and exactly the kind of deep dive we love unpacking. I hope this explainer helped map out these fascinating concepts for you. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll catch you next time.